Keep in mind, before you watch this video may not be the fastest or best way to build a computer, because this video is mainly just because it's just a way that I figured out how to do it. I wasn't taught how to do this, I figured out how to do it myself. So anyway, here we go. Hello everybody, this one is Macintosh here, and this is a guide on how to assemble a computer. This is not how to build a computer, because I'm just disassembled a computer and I'm going to put it back together. So I'm not going to be showing you how to totally build one from scratch, like showing you which parts to buy. I'm just going to show you the parts and how to put them in the case. So these are the main parts that make the computer work. We have right here the hard drive. This is where all your stuff is stored. The hard drive connects here and here. One's power, one is for your data. There's a small board there that you don't really want to touch that much. Then there's there's a disk in here, and then there's a head that goes over the disk and reads the information. This will hold your information. You don't want to put a magnet by this, and you don't want to drop it or anything. But it is pretty durable. You can kind of move it around. But now it's turned on. This right here is the processor. This right here is an Intel Pentium 4. You want to try not to touch the back, because you can get your oil on there and cause it to not work as well. Here's the RAM, or random access memory. They come in several different sizes. This is DDR2 and DDR3, I think. This is a 1 GB stick. This is two 512 MB sticks. These are what the information that your computer is currently using, the information is stored to. This is not permanent memory, which is stored on the hard drive. This is the graphics card. This processes all the graphics and puts them out into either VGA, which is video graphics array, or DVI, which I'm not sure what it is, or S-Video if you have that. But S-Video is like a high definition, and that comes in several sizes also. This right here is the power box. This is where your computer plugs in, and then this mess of wires here plugs into all the different devices. This right here is the motherboard. This is where all the components of the computer are on. Here's where the processor goes, here's where the RAM goes, right here. Then the graphics card and other devices, PCI devices, go there. The motherboard power right here, and all the IOs, which is in out right here. That's about all you need to know. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the components on the motherboard. So what we're going to put in first is the RAM. So what you want to do is you want to find where the RAM chips slots are, right here. You want to take the white one usually, these little white things here, and push them down like this. This will allow you to put the right size RAM in. Make sure you buy the right size, and when you have the right size, match up a little slot in the card with the slot on the motherboard. Then when you put it in, you should see that these cards snap in, and this white thing will come back and grab it again. Now you also want to do it with this back one, which you're not going to be able to see because it's been covered by the other one. But you just put this in the same way, and the side clips will snap in. And now never force it in, because if you have to force it in and it's that hard, you probably have it the wrong way. The next thing we're going to put in is the processor. So you need to take this little metal arm right here, bring that up, and then this little thing flips up like this. Now you need to align the small slots in the processor with the slots on the motherboard. Just put it in just like that. And then make sure it fits in, but make sure it's not standing out. And then close this on, but you shouldn't have to push it down. Like, it should be standing up like this. You need to have it facing down like that. Then you're going to need to put this down, and this will require a little bit of pressure, but make sure it's not like stuck, because then you probably have the processor in the wrong way. So it does require a little pressure. You push it down, move it to the side, put it under this clip, and it's in there. The next thing we're going to put on is the CPU cooler fan, or heatsink if you don't have a fan. And with this you're going to need a screwdriver. So what you need to do is find where the processor is, obviously. Then there should be a small wire on the fan right here, if you have a fan. If you have a heatsink, then you can skip this step and move on to the next one. So what you want to do is you want to just put this in right here, but make sure that the wire can connect to here. So you want to make the wire the closest to the little connection right here, which says CPU fan right on it in tiny letters. Just put the wire on that side and put the fan down, or heatsink. Okay, then you need to just plug it in if you have a fan. If you just have a normal heatsink, which will look like this but without the fan, it'll just have this metal stuff, then you're good still. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, and you're going to need to screw in these screws that are already here. You have to kind of push down sometimes so the screw will touch. So now it's in all the way. It should fit pretty well. Now if you do intend to use dial-up internet, you're going to need one of these. This is a network adapter. I'm not sure what the actual name is, but it has a phone line port in it, and this will allow you to plug the phone lines in your computer to use dial-up. You still need to get dial-up internet though. But then this is a PCI, so you can see PCI is a different shape than PCI Express. Now the PCI, just put it in one of these two slots. I'll just put it in this one if I needed it, but I don't need it since I'm going to be using DSL. And make sure that's on good. Make sure the RAM is in good. Make sure you have your cards in good if you already put them in. And now we're actually going to put the motherboard in the case. Okay, this here is a nearly completely disassembled case. You can see there is no disk drive. There is a card reader, but that's built into the metal frame. I can't take that out. So here's the actual case. You can see the wires for the USB ports and stuff on the front, which we'll worry about later. And now we're going to actually place it to the side where you can see the end here, with all the empty portholes, like that. Just going to put that down. Now we're going to need to take the motherboard, be careful with it, and you're going to want to put this into the case the right way. Now obviously these ports are going to go in the empty holes, so you don't want to put it in like this or like this or like that. You obviously want to put it in like this. So just, if your case has these wires, or the wires for just the button to turn it on or off, then you're going to want to hold these wires out, or hold them down or something. Or you can even take the case lid and just lay it on the top like that, and it holds them down really nicely. And you just put this in like this. Notice how now you can see the actual ports. And now you can remove the case lid or whatever you used to hold those wires down. And now you need to take some screws and screw in the motherboard. Now the screws that come with this Gateway 5200X is this shape right here. Now you're going to want to put this shape, the screw right in the appropriate hole. So I'm going to turn it like this so you can see what I'm doing. Let me look in the camera to make sure you can see fine. And I'm just going to screw it in. And I'll come back when it's all screwed in. Okay, well the motherboard is screwed in. Now to save time, I did not screw in every single screw, as you can see, but that is not always completely needed because, as you can see, the motherboard is in there pretty well. It does not move at all. And now we're going to move on and plug some of the wires in. But first, we're going to put some more hardware in, like the disk drive and the power box. The hard drive will go in later. Okay, now we're just going to put the disk drive in. Now the disk drive is not completely needed if you already have an operating system on your hard drive, but if you need to install anything at all, like an operating system, you're going to need the disk drive. So you just want to put this in the front like this. Now mine has some sort of weird thing that always stops the disk drive from going in, but some computers you can just slide this right in like that. But what you need to do if yours is like mine and it doesn't just slide in the front, you need to turn it on its side. Turn it like this. Then take the disk drive in the way you want it to go, which is obviously right side up. Put that in like this, right in here. And then slide it forward through the back. You have to kind of mess around with it sometimes to get it in. But I'll come back when I actually get it in. Okay, so as you can see, the disk drive is now installed. So what you need to do is you need to take 2 screws, but I'm only going to use 1 for a time once again, and screw it into both of these holes. Now this will lock the disk drive in place, because you can see now it just slides in and out. So if you ever would grab this, or you might push it in too far, it'd be stuck like that. That's why you need to screw it in. So just put a screw right there. Make sure it fits in right. Make sure the holes are perfect. Like that. Put a screw in. And then take a screw. So I screwed it in. The disk drive no longer moves out or in. And now we're going to put in the graphics card before it's too late and covered with wires. So what you need to do is you need to again clear the area of the graphics card of wires. You can just put it right behind the motherboard here. And you're going to need to take your graphics card. Make sure the fan, if it has a fan, is plugged in to its fan plug. Some graphics cards are unplugged. And then you need to unscrew one of these metal protectors, like I've done here and here. You need to put this in where that went. You can see that this should fit just like one of the other ones. One of these protection things fits. So, I'm just going to plug it in right here in the PCI Express, slide it in on the side there, get the wires out of the way, and put it down. Like that. Now, you can just screw this in, and then it will be stuck in there, and then you will be able to plug your monitor into here, or here, or here, or this could work for TV too, and get a good picture. Okay, now we're going to put the hard drive assembly together. So what you want to do is your case will probably have one of these hard drive holding metal things. You're also going to need your hard drive. And you want to put this inside of your case. Now you can put the hard drive in before, but it's easier to put it in after. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring the case over to where the hard drive goes, which is right there. Now you just need to put this in the right way. So mine goes in like this. Get the wires out of the way. Mine just slides down right in here next to the motherboard and other equipment. And there's a little slit right here, and this slit goes into here. And then you then can take a screw, a single screw, put this in here, and screw it in. Now we're going to need to take the actual hard drive, which mine is a 160 gigabyte Seagate hard drive, and put this in the proper way. Now as you can see here, there's a little tray here that will hold the hard drive either on top, it will hold the hard drive up, like if you put it in up here, or you can put it in down here. This case can hold 2 hard drives for extra storage or a RAID array, but I'm just going to be using this one. I'm just going to put it in the bottom. Right here. Now we screw the hard drive in, which I'm not really going to be able to show you, but the hard drive, which is right here, as you can see, there are 2 screws on this side, and these screws screw the hard drive into here. So I'm going to screw those in, and I'm going to come back. Okay, so the hard drive is now installed up in the front, right there. Now we're going to hook the hard drive up to the motherboard so that it can actually be used. So you need a serial ATA cable like this, or whatever other size your hard drive can use. First thing you want to do is plug the end into your hard drive that goes into your hard drive. There should be 2, or at least mine has 2, and you should plug this in right here. Then you put it over on its side like this, and you find the appropriate place on the motherboard for the hard drive, which mine can support up to 4 hard drives. So I'm going to bring you into a closer view of what that looks like. Right over here in this bundle of wires, you can see that, or you probably can't actually see, but there is 4 little connections with goes with this. So I'm going to need to find a label that says number 1 and plug that in. But I'm going to try to focus the camera, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I focused the camera a little better, and as you can see there are these 4 plugs here. I'm going to try to find number 1, and they are labeled in really tiny letters that are always hard to find. So I'm just going to plug it into number 1, right up there, and the hard drive is now connected. Plugged in just like that. The next thing we're going to do here is connect the power box. So I'm going to focus the camera for that, and I'll be okay. So the camera is now focused to install the power box. So we have the power box. Now this is going to make a big mess of wires, so make sure you have enough room. You want to just put the power box in right in here on the side. Sometimes it's hard to get the power box in because of this big mess of wires, so sometimes you have to turn it around and play with it for a while. When it fits in, they should look just like this. Now you're going to need to take 4 screws, so 1, wrong size, 2, and I'm just going to do 3 for time, and just screw these right into here, 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 and here, but I'm only going to do 3 for the time, and I'll be okay. So the computer is basically finished. I've just put the power box in. Now we just have to connect the power box to the components so they can actually get power, because it's kind of useless just to have a power box in there without actually giving power to anything. So what you need to do is take your jungle wires from the power box and plug it in to, or power supply, whatever you want to call it. I call it a power box sometimes because that's what we learned at school. It just goes into the motherboard, and then these other things go into things like the disk drive, the hard drive, and some other components that you may have. As you can see here on the motherboard, there is a place for this type of wire. I'm just going to plug that in right there. Now you'll notice on here that this has to go in one particular way. So you might have to move around, get these wires out of the way, and mess around with it a little bit before you're going to actually get the wire in the computer. You now need to use 2 hands for this, so I'm going to put the camera right down in here. Then I'm going to plug this in to the computer. As you can see, the power box is now plugged into the motherboard, but that's not enough. You gotta plug it into the hard drive and the disk drive. So what you need to do is take one of these wires, or whatever other size wire that your hard drive supports, and plug that into the hard drive. This says P3 on it, and you just plug this right into the hard drive. Okay, I made a mistake. You're actually going to want to plug the P10 wire into your hard drive, or at least my hard drive. Sorry about that. Turning the wire around, and now just plug the wire in right there to the hard drive. Now the hard drive will be able to have power. Now you need to plug it into the disk drive. Now the disk drive uses a P3. Now we need to plug the disk drive into the motherboard. So I'm going to get the wire for that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the needed wire to plug the disk drive into the motherboard. You can clearly see it says CPU board on one side and master on the other side. Now if you do have a second disk drive, you want to plug that right into slave. So you need to do is just plug this into the disk drive right here. And make sure it's the master end. Bring it down here. You might have to unplug the power box from the disk drive, like I'm about to do, to put this in if your disk drive is shaped like that. Now you can just plug the power box back in. Untangle the wires, plug it in right there. And now just plug this right here into the CPU board, or motherboard as it's called right here. Just plug that right into there. It should go into a white or black socket. And I'm going to plug that in right now, and I'll be back when I finish plugging it. Okay, so this is now plugged in. It is very unneat, but this computer will not actually be used. It'll just be disassembled and put back in the closet. Anyway, the next thing we can do now that the disk drive is plugged into the motherboard is connect the USB. If your computer well, first of all, you're finished if your computer doesn't need, or if it doesn't have these ports on the front. But if it does, then you're going to need to follow some more steps. If it doesn't, you're going to need to follow some more steps. And if it does not have any of these on the front, then you're good to go. But if it does have any of these card readers or anything, you need to follow these steps. Just take these USB wires here and plug them in to the appropriate wires here. Plug that right into there. Take the next one and plug that in, and then you can plug all of them in, but some of mine came without a plug since they're just extras and you can add them on. Now the most important step that you're going to need to do, even if you don't have these front things, is connect the power button to the motherboard. So just take these wires, one's for the HDD LED, one's for the power switch, or power SW as it says, and one's for the power LED, which is the power button. Most important, it actually turns it on. The hard drive LED, which blinks yellow whenever the hard drive is in use, or the blue and glow gateway logo on the button. So you need to take this right here, and you need to plug all three of these into this small white socket right here, which I will take a picture of and add in. Okay, so those wires are now plugged in. The computer is now finished, unless you want to add an additional fan right here, which if so, you can add one of these fans, which will blow the hot air in or out of the case, which will blow cold air in, hot air out, like that. Now, to do this, you're going to make sure your motherboard has the appropriate plug for that. It should look just like the CPU fan, only it should be labeled either fan or external fan or something like that. It's right there, it looks just like the CPU fan one. Then you want to screw the fan onto the side and plug this long cable right into that. So now your computer is finished. Now you need to put the case on, unless you don't want a case for some reason. You put the cover on right here, Slide this right on the top. Get it on there good, and then just screw in here and here. And your computer's ready, just hook it up, and you can use it. Thank you for watching this video over 10 minutes by Windows and Macintosh, and I hope you enjoy.